Wisconsin Foodie would like to thank the following underwriters. We are a collection of the finest farmers, food producers, and chefs on the planet. We are a merging of cultures and ideas shaped by this land. We are a gathering of the waters, and together, we shape a new identity to carry us into the future. We are storytellers. We are Wisconsin Foodie. We're in Phillips, a small community in north central Wisconsin known for its rugged beauty and ample game birds. Today, we're going to meet up with our friends Emily and Jacob, and they'll show us around the woods in search of grouse and woodcock. We're going to catch up with them over breakfast at Bonnie's Diner.
Tell us a little bit about what we're going to do today and what we might expect to find.
Definitely. So we have a spot today that we think is going to be pretty good for grouse. We're hoping to find some woodcock too, or timberdoodles, just based on some of the habitat cover that's around.
What are the ideal conditions for grouse?
Grouse really like inch diameter popple trees, so we're looking for just like recently cut popples and alders.
So kind of like recent, maybe logging operations, or areas that have been, kind of left to go on their own accord, right?
Yeah. Up north is great because you get a lot of paper company land. They're harvesting on a regular basis, and so they are always having the popples and alders kind of come back up again.
Behind me, there's a lot of blaze orange and camo going on. This is a big deal for people up here, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. And the colors right now, especially, it's the 23rd of October, and so it's just a beautiful time to be out in the woods.
That was a good recommendation. That hit the spot.
Yeah, everybody's was at Bonnie's today.
Right? Well, it looks beautiful. Let's go hunting.
Just chasing birds.
Cool.
We are pretty much out in the middle of nowhere. And that's not to take anything away from anybody who lives out here, but you definitely get the feeling of desolation when we turn off that main highway and now it's on like the dirt gravel roads. Like anytime I'm about to go outside, I always get really anxious and excited. I can't wait to get out and walk around. The woods are usually my zen. I'm pumped. So I feel like we're getting close here, and actually, my own excitement is amplified by the dogs, and I assume that we have to let them out here soon, right?
Yep, definitely. We have left in the back is Iehl, and she's a 2-year-old German short hair. So she's been hunting quite a bit down in the southern part of the state, but just out a few times on grouse. So we'll get her some experience today. Isla's like a little drama queen. Like, she doesn't like to go through brambles. She goes, ooh. Basically, all we have to do is put the collars on the dogs. They get a beeper collar. Typically, they wear bells, and so they'll ring and ring and ring, and then when they stop and go on point, the bells stop. But that it's tricky to find them in the brush sometimes. So our beeper collars, they just beep, 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 and then when they go on point, there's a hawk scream.
Yes.
So people think that like makes the birds hunker down a little more, but I don't know.
Can you replicate what we might hear as far as the hawk scream?
It's gonna sound just like that, don't worry.
Cool, I can't wait.
So I'll just grab the guns and stuff while she runs around. This is my break action over under, so you put 2 shells in there. And so this one's really nice because you can tell when it's safe and it's a little bit more maneuverable in the grouse woods.
This is a 20 gauge. I grew up shooting this gun. This is the one that, when my father taught me how to hunt and we used to hunt grouse together. Something small, something light, something that I could control as a young man who was starting to hunt. And now it's beautiful. It's a symbol of like my family and the tradition of hunting. Let's go. Who is this lady?
That's a man.
That's a man! My bad, the long hair just got confusing.
This is Art. So he's a German long hair pointer.
I bet you Art knows exactly what he's doing out here, doesn't he?
He does, generally.
Okay, good.
Maybe not on camera, we'll see.
Awesome. All right, what should we do? Should we go back in the woods?
I think we'll head to that corner down there and work down this side of the road.
Give me just a little bit of an insider tip here. What's the best way to hunt for grouse?
You can definitely walk through the woods and flush them yourself, but it's nice to have the dog because they can work the breeze, they can tell when they're there a lot faster than you can, and it's just really hard to see them out in the woods. Should we just cut in this way, or I'm gonna turn her collar on now.
I'm really excited to get out here, and I think a lot of people, when they get to the woods, are usually really excited to hunt.
Yeah.
But like, what are some safety things that we can keep in mind to not only protect ourselves, but the dogs and anyone else around us?
Just always being aware of where your hunting party is, and then the dog as well. If we can, we'll try to get 1 or 2 people on either side of the dog, and she'll be kind of in the middle, and all the guns will be pointing out. What's great about pointing dogs is that they won't go in and flush the bird right away. She's trained to stay on point until we go in and flush the bird together and take shots that way.
You see it? Yeah, it's a flush right over here. Up and down really close. Our dog Art here kicked up a bird probably about 20 yards to my left. Unfortunately, I wasn't in a position to take a shot at it. If it were to kick up right here, I'd feel okay about it. But this is so thick in here. So trying to get something that is, number 1, safe, but number 2, like an effective shot on a bird is tricky because if you notice, you can't really swing with this much cover. So you gotta put yourself in a position to be successful, it's tough. We're in the thick of it, man. We're out here and it's still so beautiful. It's a great day to be outside. It's so quiet. He's right between us right now.
Can we see a woodcock? Do you guys want to come up, or should I just kick
Go
around?
for it. You got it.
I didn't have time to shoulder my gun very well. It was like way down here.
That's grouse and woodcock hunting. You
Yeah.
just get it up in the air and pull the trigger.
Sure, right? What you two are doing is rooted in being in the outdoors. And I can tell that you're both like ardently passionate about this place. How does that combine with like the sense of conservation?
So I didn't start hunting until I was 21 after I met Jacob, and he could show me how to do that. For me, hunting just took me into the outdoors in a way that I hadn't been before. I wouldn't go hiking through this like gnarly old piece of popple mess, but it just brought me out into the outdoors where I wouldn't normally have forged ahead on, I think. Hunting is definitely a traditional way to experience the outdoors, especially in Wisconsin, but it's pretty clear that that's changing. Small game hunting, such as grouse hunting and woodcock hunting, that's took an even bigger decline. But for us, I think it's important to show people what it's like to have this different experience and ways that you can expand your experience of nature and appreciate it maybe even more.
Come out here and maybe you see somebody drive down the road, but you just get to kind of relax, and the only thing you've got reminding you of modern life is the sound of the beeper,
Yeah.
which sometimes gets annoying, but it's great to be in these places that are set aside you know, this is county forest that we're on right now, and there's tons of county forest up here, then there's national forest, state forest. So there's just tons of land that's set aside, and you can get lost in it a little bit, and it's a great feeling.
That is a good feeling, isn't it? Where you don't necessarily know where you're going. You can just walk, and literally it's hard work walking through here, but you find things that you didn't set out to discover, and usually those things are inside of us. So this is a great experience. Thanks for taking me along. Should we keep walking? Get them birds.
But there's a bird running in front of us, a grouse on the ground. Let's try to walk up that way. I saw a couple. Yeah. Who's it? What? Just keep walking.
He's staring. I think all of us got that one.
I didn't hit it, you hit it.
I did? Yeah. Woodcock are very hard to hit. And that's actually my first woodcock ever, so I'm pretty pleased. And I've been hunting over dogs for 8 years.
So Art can't hear, he's starting to not hear very well. That's my excuse for him every once in a while. Kind of loses us.
Is it dead? Can I see it?
Attaway.
What?
Attaway.
Yeah, totally. I was hoping I would get one today because the last few years, we've been working on my gun fit a lot, and I've been just practicing a lot more doing skeets, and I think that really helps. 8 years in the making for one little bird, but they're so interesting.
We just skin them and do legs and maybe that first wing bone and come whole.
That sounds delicious. These are worked animals. So this isn't like the chicken breast that you might buy at the grocery store, or like the duck breast you might get that's, been kind of raised in confinement. This is a real living thing. And I think because of that, there is a certain gaminess or a lifiness that sometimes accompanies it. Honestly, to cook a bird or to cook an animal that's been taken in the wild is like to have the ultimate reverence for it. And you have to when you prepare it. I would say medium at the most. So this is something you don't want to overcook. This thing gave its life to feed us. And I think that when you go at it with that mind frame, there's really no way that it can taste bad.
With the woodcock Emily harvested and one that Jacob added, we head to the Rough Grouse Lodge on Wilson Lake, where the birds will be dressed for dinner, and I'll put together a meal that reflects the true spirit of the North Woods.
These are really nice and fatty birds.
I know, you can see all the fat right along the back here. Yeah, the skin on a lot of game birds comes off really easily, so even just the shots expose the breast here, and then it really just peels off. So you can do it, most of it with your fingers.
I think the breast meat is the best. I mean, the legs are nice little tasty parts too that I think are often overlooked. Woodcock are a little bit unique in that they have dark meat for the breast meat, and then legs are actually a lighter meat. So that's pretty much the end product.
Starting to look like a tiny chicken.
Did you guys get the birds clean?
We did. They cleaned up really nicely.
Oh my gosh, and look at the flare on this thing too.
Woodcock and grouse, they are a wild game bird. And a lot of times like people find those flavors a little intimidating. So I thought I would take something that was like a little intimidating and make it really, really basic. And what I want to do today is kind of replicate my grandmother's fried chicken recipe.
That sounds good.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these birds and I'm going to brine them in the buttermilk. But while I do that, why don't you guys make yourself comfortable and, you know, kick your feet up and have a beer and we'll get this thing ready to go, okay?
Sounds perfect. Thanks,
Awesome.
Luke.
Thanks, guys. So we're going to start by taking the woodcock and we're going to place them in the buttermilk brine. We're going to set this aside and let them marinate for probably 25-30 minutes. Next, we are going to turn on our pan, and I want this on a really nice medium-high heat. And I kind of think that you can't do a hunter's ragu without having some sort of nod to the time-honored tradition that is cast iron. So we're going to take and put some of this bacon in the pan to start it sweating. Once we can hear this working, we're gonna come in with our potatoes. And the reason that I started this bacon before I started my potatoes is because I want that fat to permeate into the potato itself. Now, what I'd like to do for the next 7 or 8 minutes or so is put a lid on this. And the reason I want to put a lid on it, I'm not a huge fan of cooking with lids usually. But in this instance, because we didn't blanch the potatoes to cook them ahead of time, I'm gonna actually capture the steam that they're throwing off as they're starting to cook. And that'll help those potatoes cook more quickly. We're gonna give this a little push around here. The bacon's starting to get a little crispy. I can see some color on the outside of these potatoes. I think it's time to add all my other ingredients into the saute and let them cook down just a little bit. And now, just to give it a little acidity to round it out, I'm gonna pour some of this delicious Wisconsin wine in the pan. At this point, I'd like to take this duck stock that Jacob has provided and start reducing it in the saucepan, because ultimately it's all gonna end up with our vegetables in here. But I think if I can work it down a little bit, I can get a little more viscosity out of it, and that's gonna make for a richer ragu underneath. That smells good. We're gonna let that reduce. Now that I have this all kind of working together a little bit, I'm gonna take the opportunity to take this stock, which is nice and rolling, and it has been steeping with the thyme for a little bit now, and add it to our ragu set. We're gonna take half a stick of this Wisconsin butter. My ragu has really started to come together here. And you can see through the consistency that the starch has actually started to throw out of those Yukon Gold potatoes, which is why we chose those in the first place. This also adds like a really, really hearty richness and it's delicious. Our woodcock has been marinating for about a half an hour. So this is all-purpose flour, salt, black pepper. I'm gonna take and very carefully let this little bit of woodcock drip dry just for a second, and then I'm gonna place it in the seasoned flour. Now, using my dry hand, I'm gonna take the excess flour and sprinkle it over the top because I wanna make sure that this all gets incorporated. Now, I'm gonna take and just basically like this, and we're gonna lay this down into that oil. I have canola oil with a little bit of Crisco in there. And the Crisco reasoning, honestly, is because my grandmother always fried chicken in Crisco, and some things you just don't fix if they're not broken. So because I don't actually have a deep fryer here, and in most places you're probably not gonna have one, I'm taking the hot oil and I'm actually basting the top of the bird. I can see that it's getting nice and crispy and golden, which is exactly the way that I want it. All right, we're ready to plate up. So I'm gonna take the cast iron skillet over here, and we can see this all kind of cooked down together. So all the richness, all the starch, this is the most quintessential fall and wintertime food for me. This is exactly what I want after a cold day out in the woods. We're gonna go right for the middle of the plate. Now for our fried woodcock. And there we have it, a buttermilk fried woodcock harvested outside of beautiful Phillips, Wisconsin, with hunter stew and a little bit of homemade duck stock reduction. Thanks for letting me cook for you guys.
Oh my gosh, thank you.
You're welcome.
That looks beautiful.
Looks amazing.
Good, I'm glad.
Thank you.
This is the moment of truth, when the hunter actually tries the quarry. How is that?
It's nice and crisp.
Is it? Is it good?
Yeah, it's tender. It's
Eating woodcock, it's rich, it's gamey. You know, there is definitely the essence of the forest in that meat. I feel like I'm the lucky one because I got to be with you guys today in the forest and watch you working with your dogs and having a good time just walking around. It was also really beautiful.
I didn't grow up hunting at all, and I kind of had that view where I felt like I didn't really need to kill an animal to appreciate it. But to me, hunting is being outside, it's being with family, it's being with the dogs. And then, yeah, when it does work out and you're able to eat something that's completely local, that just kind of tops the cake for me.
Sure. Here's to a day in the woods. Thanks a lot, friends.
Yeah, it was a great day.
Thanks for cooking.
Oh, you're welcome. That looks good.
Thank you, sir.
Do you know the difference between jam and jelly?
Hold on, I feel like I know this. Jam, isn't that just like sugared? Oh yeah, is it pureed versus, yeah, it's chunky?
You can't actually pump up the jelly.
What do you mean? Like it's too thick? Or what do you mean by pump up?
Pump up the jam, the song.
Oh god.
The only one who saw that coming is that guy.
Wisconsin Foodie would like to thank the following underwriters.
Introducing Organic Valley Ultra. Milk with more protein, half the sugar, and no toxic pesticides.
Let's be honest, none of that healthy stuff really matters unless our kids will drink it.
Yeah, I would drink that.
You hear that? She would drink that!
Parrots are weird.
More protein, half the sugar. Organic Valley Ultra.
The dairy farmers of Wisconsin are proud to underwrite Wisconsin Foodie and remind you that in Wisconsin, we dream in cheese. Just look for our badge. It's on everything we make.
Employee-owned New Glarus Brewing Company has been brewing and bottling beer for their friends only in Wisconsin since 1993. Just a short drive from Madison, come visit Swisconsin and see where your beer's made.
Wisconsin's great outdoors has something for everyone. Come for the adventure, stay for the memories. Go wild in Wisconsin. To build your adventure, visit dnr.wi.gov.
From production to processing, right down to our plates, there are over 15,000 employers in Wisconsin with career opportunities to fulfill your dreams and feed the world. Hungry for more? Shape your career with these companies and others at fabwisconsin.com. Specialty crop craft beverages use fruit grown on Wisconsin orchards and vineyards to create award-winning ciders and wines. Wisconsin's cold climate creates characteristics and complexities that make this craft beverage unique to our state. Society Insurance. Freshwater Family Farms. J. Henry & Sons Bourbon. Something special from Wisconsin. Marcus Hotels and Resorts. Central Wisconsin Craft Collective. 91.7 WMSE. Edible Milwaukee Magazine. Also with the support of the Friends of PBS Wisconsin. For more information about upcoming Wisconsin Foodie special events and dinners, please go to wisconsinfoodie.com. Still hungry for more? Get connected on Facebook and Instagram, and also make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, where you'll find past episodes and special segments.